For as long as humans have come down on Earth, we've spun endless tales about bizarre and wondrous creatures, from vampires to mermaids. But what if some of these creatures actually existed in actual life? In this video, we'll count down 15 creatures from around the globe that are so weird and wonderful, they seem almost mythical. From colossal sloths to spine-chilling sea serpents, we'll break down the legends and the science behind these super mind-blowing creatures and reveal the wild truths hiding behind the myths. So stick around till the very end. Number 15. Ogopogo. In British Columbia's Okanagan Lake, people still whisper about something massive lurking just beneath the surface, a serpent-like creature locals call Ogopogo. The stories go back centuries, long before settlers arrived, rooted in indigenous First Nations legends that described a powerful water spirit living in the lake. Later sightings only added fuel to the myth. People claim to see a dark, undulating form stretching over 40 feet, sometimes with the head of a horse, other times like a dragon. In the 1980s, a $1 million reward was dangled for any concrete proof nobody collected. Still, tourists rolled in, snapping photos of every suspicious ripple or shadow. Even Greenpeace got involved, arguing that Ogopogo might be an endangered species worth protecting. The media loved it. TV shows featured it. Locals leaned in, whether it's a misidentified animal, a floating log, or just wishful thinking, the myth refuses to die. Ogopogo doesn't need proof to exist, it just needs people to keep watching the water. Number 14. The Beast of Bray Road. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, residents of rural Elkhorn, Wisconsin, started telling stories about a creature stalking Bray Road. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a wolf. It was something in between, standing upright, towering, shaggy, with glowing eyes and claws. People said it watched from the tree line, crossed roads at night, and vanished before anyone could get too close. What started as hushed talk turned into front-page headlines. A local reporter, named Linda Godfrey, was sent to investigate, expecting bored townsfolk. Instead, she found witness after witness with consistent, oddly specific accounts. They weren't just making it up, at least not all of them. The Wisconsin werewolf, as it came to be called, became local folklore, then a full-blown cryptid. Books, documentaries, and even a low-budget horror film followed. Whether it was mass hysteria, misidentified wildlife, or something that never got caught on camera, the Beast of Bray Road still lives in the stories. And in Wisconsin, stories carry a lot of weight. Number 13. Montauk Monster. Back in 2008, this bloated, hairless creature washed up on the beach in Montauk, Long Island, and the internet did what it does best: lost its mind and went crazy. The thing had leathery skin, sharp teeth, and no clear identity. People threw out every theory imaginable. Some said the raccoon, others swore it was a genetic experiment gone sideways. A few took it even further, blaming the mysterious Plum Island Animal Disease Center nearby, fueling decades-old conspiracy theories. The body didn't stick around long. It disappeared, no one knows how, but the photos stayed, and that was enough. The so-called Montauk Monster became an icon of digital-age folklore. It wasn't just the creature itself that stirred people up. It was the possibility that something weird had slipped through the cracks, something not in the books, not in a zoo, not classified. Experts still argue it was probably just a decaying animal, maybe a raccoon badly decomposed. But people remember it differently, and that's how legends are born. Number 12. Dire wolves. Dire wolves weren't just a Game of Thrones gimmick, they were actual beasts roaming North America long before humans even started storytelling. These predators lived around 250,000 to 13,000 years ago, sticking it out through the Ice Age alongside mammoths and saber-toothed cats. But here's the thing, they weren't just oversized gray wolves. For years, people lumped them in with modern wolves, but DNA says otherwise. They were their own thing. They were not wolves, coyotes, or even dogs. These bad boys were something else entirely. larger, heavier, and with jaws built to crush bone. Dire wolves likely hunted in packs, targeting big prey like bison and even baby mammoths. And if you want proof they were real, head to the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. The place is packed with their fossilized remains, thousands of them tangled up with the bones of animals they hunted. No fantasy, no fluff. Dire wolves were legit monsters of their time, and they would have shredded any modern predator without breaking stride. Number 11. Frilled lizard. If any modern animal feels like it was pulled straight from a fantasy novel, it's the frilled lizard. Found mostly in northern Australia and southern New Guinea, this reptile looks ordinary until you bother it, then it flips into full drama mode. A frill pops out around its neck like a scaly sunburst, its mouth gapes wide, and it rears up on two legs, ready to bolt. It doesn't breathe fire or talk in riddles, but for centuries, people couldn't believe it was real. Paintings made it seem almost cartoonish. That neck flare isn't for show, it's defense. When the lizard feels threatened, the display makes it look much larger and harder to deal with. Despite its dramatic defense, it's not aggressive. It prefers sprinting into the nearest tree or tall grass, frill flapping, leaving a very confused predator behind. Science has its explanation for everything, but when you see one in motion, it still feels like a prehistoric creature never got the memo that it was supposed to go extinct. Number 10. Chupacabra. When you hear the word chupacabra, your brain often throws out a mental image, something hairless, fanged, and hungry. This creature isn't ancient. It's a modern myth. The name comes from Spanish, chupar to suck and cabra, goat, because that's what the mysterious thing supposedly does, suck goats dry. Reports started popping off in the 90s, especially in Puerto Rico and Mexico, then spilled into Texas and the southern US. Witnesses described something like a dog or coyote, but off, no fur, glowing eyes, sharp teeth. Some said it stood upright. Some swore it drained animals of blood with surgical precision. Scientists say it's just sick coyotes or feral dogs with mange, but that doesn't explain the bloodless livestock. It's weird, it's creepy, it won't go away, and anytime an animal turns up dead in rural areas with no blood left, people point the finger. Whether it's myth, misidentification, or something we haven't caught on camera yet, the Chupacabra's legend is still very much alive. What do you think about it? Is it real? Number 9. Congamato. In the wetlands of Zambia and the border regions of Angola and Congo, stories have circled for generations about a massive winged creature known as the Congamato. Locals describe it as leathery, red-skinned, and bird-like, but not any bird people recognize. The wingspan? Some say up to 7 feet. Teeth like needles, no feathers. What's eerie is how often outsiders have heard these same details. In the 1920s, Western travelers passing through the region started writing about it, not as legend, but as something villagers treated as real. This wasn't some ancient myth either. It was described with the clarity you'd use for a crocodile or hippo. Theories floated around. Some said it might be a misidentified bird. Others guessed bats. A few leaned all the way in and said it was a pterosaur, a prehistoric flying reptile that somehow dodged extinction. Whatever it is or was, Congamato left more questions than answers. And in that region, even today, people still refuse to laugh it off. But are you thinking the same as we do? Number 8. Mermaid. Sailors used to stare out over endless waves and swear they saw something, half woman, half fish, gliding through the sea. Mermaids weren't just mythical decorations back then. They were warnings, omens, even temptations sent to lure ships off course. The stories came from every direction: Europe, Africa, Asia, each culture painting them with different intentions. What likely fed the myth? Dugongs and manatees, spotted from far-off decks and misread through fog and fatigue. But the human brain doesn't always want facts, it wants meaning. A splash becomes a song. A shadow becomes a siren. Even now, mermaids haven't vanished. They're everywhere in pop culture. Books, art, clothing. Makeup. The idea sticks because it touches something deeper than curiosity. Maybe it's about beauty hidden in the unknown. Maybe it's the haunting fear of being pulled under. Whatever it is, mermaids never needed to be real to stay alive. They swim just fine in the parts of the brain where reason doesn't always win. Number 7. Blemmias. In old European maps and writings, you'll sometimes find a tribe sketched into the margins, humans with no heads, their faces embedded in their chests. These were the Blemmias. Ancient writers like Herodotus and Pliny the Elder mentioned them while describing distant lands, placing them somewhere in North Africa. The actual Blemmias were real, a nomadic people from what's now Sudan and southern Egypt, but somewhere along the way their image got warped into full-blown fantasy. Medieval manuscripts ran with it, adding exaggerated features, claiming these beings had no heads at all, only eyes and mouths on their torsos. It was less about belief and more about projecting strangeness onto places Europeans didn't understand. A way of saying, this world is bigger than we can handle. Travelers and chroniclers built the myth out of misunderstanding and embellishment, but it stuck. The Blemmias may not have been monsters, but their image became shorthand for everything that felt distant, different, or too foreign to explain. Number 6. Imugi. In Korean folklore, not all dragons are born as dragons. Imugi are the in-between, long, snake-like creatures believed to live in rivers, lakes, and caves, waiting for their chance to ascend. Unlike the fire-breathing monsters of the West, Korean dragons are water spirits, symbols of luck and power. The Imugi isn't evil. It's not out to destroy cities or steal princesses. It's just incomplete. According to legend, if it lives 1,000 good years, or finds a rare magical pearl called a yuiju, it earns the right to transform into a full-fledged dragon. Some stories say Imugi were cursed, denied dragonhood and stuck forever in their liminal form. Others say they're just patient. Either way, the image is powerful. A creature striving towards something greater, forever climbing toward the sky. Even without wings or horns, the Imugi holds a place in people's imaginations. It reminds you that transformation isn't always loud or instant. Sometimes it's quiet, and ancient, and slow. Number 5. Griffin. Half lion, half eagle. The griffin ruled ancient mythology as a symbol of divine power, royalty, and treasure protection. While there's zero actual evidence these hybrids ever walked the earth, the griffin shows up in art and stories across cultures, from Egypt and Persia to Greece and medieval Europe. With the muscular body and hind legs of a lion and the beaked head and wings of an eagle, the griffin embodied the perfect predator strength and flight combined. Ancient people often used griffins to guard sacred objects in myths, especially gold and royal artifacts, which gave them an aura of status and danger. Even though we've never dug up griffin bones, their image lives on in coats of arms, medieval tapestries, and architecture. In British heraldry, griffins are always depicted with wings outstretched, signaling readiness to strike, never calm or closed. While they may never have existed in flesh and blood, griffins have long soared through the imagination, immortalized in symbols of power and protection. Number 4. Hellhound. Hellhounds weren't just fire-eyed nightmares whispered about in campfire tales. They show up in real belief systems across the world, with 100 different names and just as many roles. In Greek mythology, you've got Cerberus, the multi-headed guard dog of the underworld. In Norse legends, there's Garmr. English folklore is loaded with ghostly black dogs, often seen as omens of death. What unites them? That eerie look. Big, dark-furred beasts with glowing eyes, often larger than any normal dog. Some stalk graveyards. Others appear during storms. In Latin America, stories tell of spectral canines that prowl the night, sometimes protecting lost souls or dragging them away. Despite being mythological, these creatures stayed alive in people's imaginations because of how close they felt to something real. Maybe it was the howling in the distance. Maybe it was just the way fear travels. But the hellhound, whatever version you believe in, isn't just a story. It's what you sense when you're alone, and something's watching. Number 3. Charybdis. Greek mythology didn't pull punches when it came to sea monsters, and Charybdis wasn't just dangerous, she was chaos in liquid form. Positioned across from the monster Scylla in the Strait of Messina, Charybdis was described as a living whirlpool, capable of swallowing entire ships in seconds. She wasn't some tentacled beast or scaled dragon, her weapon was the ocean itself. The myth said she would inhale great gulps of seawater and then spit them back out, creating tidal waves and maelstroms. Sailors had to time their routes with precision or face being dragged down with their vessel and crew. Homer wrote about her in the Odyssey, where Odysseus barely survived passing through her waters. It's tempting to dismiss her as pure fiction, but the Strait of Messina is a real place, and it really does experience violent tidal currents that shift dramatically with the moon and wind. Ancient sailors didn't need to invent sea monsters. The ocean gave them more than enough reason to be afraid. That's why we love sea. Number 2. Dubar Chu. Ireland has no shortage of eerie water tales, but the Dubar Chu sits in a category all its own. Translated as waterhound, it's been described as part massive otter, part canine, and entirely bad news. For centuries, stories circulated around lakes and rivers of a beast that attacked with brutal speed and vanished before anyone could stop it. One of the most cited accounts dates back to the 1700s. A woman in County Leitrim was allegedly killed near a lake by something that left behind a trail of blood and claw marks. Her husband claimed to have hunted it down and killed it, and her gravestone supposedly depicts the creature. Descriptions vary, but it's often said to be about 7 feet long, with dark fur, razor-sharp teeth, and a scream that sounds human. Some call it the Irish crocodile. Some say it's pure invention. But its legend has never faded. The Dubar Chu isn't tourist bait, it's the kind of myth people still lower their voices to talk about. Number 1. The Bear Lake Monster. Bear Lake sits on the border between Utah and Idaho, calm, quiet, and supposedly home to something that shouldn't exist. The legend goes back to the 1800s, when Mormon settler Joseph C. Rich claimed a strange creature lived in the lake. Later, he admitted he made the whole thing up, but by then it was too late. People said the creature was long, 30 to 50 feet, moved fast, had legs, and sometimes even spikes along its back. Some said it was pale-colored. Others swore they saw 2 of them swimming together. The story grew legs of its own, and even after Rich confessed, folks still reported sightings. It became part of local folklore, part tourist bait. Nobody's caught one. Nobody has washed up, but the sightings haven't stopped. Every few years, someone swears they saw something break the surface. It could be fish, waves, or tricks of the light. Or maybe the Bear Lake Monster's just better at hide and seek than anyone expected. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.